Time for business then. We're going to start today in Asia. Could be strikes, protests, general arrest in India. This is after the Prime Minister there decided some drastic economic reforms. Catherine's here to explain all.
Yes, Manmohan Singh taking quite a big gamble politically and perhaps economically with these reforms. Now, he pushed those through on Friday last week. Just a recap for you. They're raising the subsidised diesel price by 12%, agreeing to part privatise 4 state companies. But the biggest measure, perhaps, and one that's got a lot of people in India angry, is a opening up of 3 key sectors to foreign firms. Now, these are retail, aviation and broadcast media. In retail, foreign companies would in fact be able to own a majority stake of up to 51%. And we're looking at big global companies such as Carrefour, Tesco, Walmart coming in and opening up stores in India. Now, a lot of economists have been pushing for this for a long time. India's economy has been slowing down. Recent quarterly figures have them at around a 3-year low. But earlier on, we spoke to our India correspondent, Natasha Butler, and she told us why there are lots of angry people as well.
These reforms are actually incredibly controversial. Small businesses and shopkeepers are saying they're going to go out of business once the big supermarket chains roll into their areas. In terms of diesel hikes, farmers, hundreds of millions of farmers say that they will no longer be able to afford fuel to run their generators and tractors. And cooking gas, I should say, that's used by many poor Indians to cook across the country. They're going to get together with the opposition and say, we don't want these reforms. They're going to impact the small people, but only serve big business. The government say they're going to stand firm.
That's Natasha Butler there reporting from New Delhi. And just some other context for you, Stuart. Standard & Poor's is currently threatening to downgrade India's credit rating to junk status, which we know would increase their borrowing costs massively. So just to give you some context really on how important these reforms could be for India.
OK, well, now on to a story we've been mentioning in the news as well. It's a bit of a row over who owns some islands, which has been going on, of course, between Japan and China. But now that row started impacting on Japanese companies in China.
Yeah, the Japanese government, as I know you've been reporting in the news bulletins, recently decided it's going to buy these disputed islands that both countries lay claim to. And we can see these pictures here. Some very angry people inside China, and they are taking against Japanese companies. They're taking out their anger on them. Canon and Panasonic both affected, both shutting down factories, at least temporarily. So this could prove to be very expensive for these Japanese business if this continues for long. Canon said it's shutting down 2 of its factories for at least the next 2 days. OK, we shall follow that one, of course, here on France 24. What about the markets today, then? OK, well, over in the United States, the markets closed last week up. They were boosted by Ben Bernanke's latest announcements about quantitative easing to try and boost the economy over there. In Asia today, we can see that trade has been fairly mixed overall. The Hang Seng currently trading slightly up. The Shanghai Composite drastically down. Traders not quite sure what to do in Asia today. Japan closed its Respect for the Elderly Day.
Very nice too. Now, we've been doing business for nearly 5 minutes. We haven't mentioned the E word, so let's do it. Eurozone. Decisions and some protests over the state of the Eurozone today.
Yeah, there have been big protests in Spain and Portugal all weekend about the prospect of more austerity cuts. Public sector workers such as nurses and teachers saying, look, we really can't take any more. But Spain particularly really trying to avoid having to ask for a bailout. Portugal's already had one. The Spanish government very much against this idea, but their borrowing costs are sky high and it could come to this in the next few months. Nobody's obviously sure. But there are some big splits within Europe about what to do. We've got the German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble saying over the weekend that it would be stupid for Spain to ask for a bailout. But you've got the French Finance Minister, Pierre Moscovici, saying that Spain should ask for a bailout. It would do them good. It would do the rest of the Eurozone good. It would stabilise everybody. So those are obviously the 2 big leading players in Europe. Major disagreements over Spain.
OK, well, let's bring you a few other business stories now. We're going to start off back in Spain, in fact, because the government there is having a row with Ryanair over safety concerns. 2 flights to Spain this weekend had to be diverted because of technical issues. Now, Madrid is asking the European Commission to give them new powers to slap extra safety checks on airlines operating in their airspace. Ryanair, though, hitting back, saying it has exactly the same proportion of technical issues as Spanish airlines like Iberia or Vueling.
Foreign hauliers might not be so happy to keep on trucking in the UK in the future. They're going to have to pay around an extra €1,200 a year to operate on British roads. Ministers say it's not fair that UK hauliers have to pay charges to drive in Europe, but foreign trucks don't have to pay the same in the UK. British truckers will have to pay the levy out in the first place, but they'll get it back via a cut in their vehicle taxes.
And cash-strapped British people have boosted the coffers of the short-term loans company Wonga. Their latest figures show net earnings up an incredible 269% last year. Company offers loans of up to £1,000, but only for short periods. Now, Wonga's come in for criticism for its interest rates of up to 4,000% APR, but they say that because the loans are short-term, they're not taking advantage of customers. I love those ads. Good stuff, isn't it? Now, back here in France, the government is looking for ways to save billions over the next few years to get the economy here back on track. And the latest group they have in their sights, well, it's pensioners and their tax benefits that they've received up until now.
Enjoying a sunny day, but there could be gloomy weather ahead. The independent French Court of Auditors proposed to slash retirement benefits in hopes of saving billions of euros for the state. The average pensioner in France earns more than most people who work.
I
think we can move towards something that sees wealthy pensioners contributing as much as wealthy workers do.
A case that some pensioners aren't pulling their own weight. In France, people aged 60 to 69 years old have the highest standard of living, with an average monthly income of 2,100 euros. The same age group also has the highest average of wealth at 345,000 euros. Auditors say that if they eliminate a benefit for retirees to claim professional expenses and raise Social Security tax to 7.5% for nearly half of all pensioners, France would generate 4 billion euros. But not everyone is on easy street. 1 million pensioners in France live below the poverty line.
Every week there are more bills. We don't even have enough time to pay one before the next one arrives. On and on and on.
The Independent Court of Auditors is proposing to raise the minimum pension, but it has yet to say how much. The French government will conduct its own review over pensioners later this year, but changes aren't expected to occur until the 2014 budget.
And just to cheer you up at the end of the bulletin, the Danish toy company Lego, saw them a little bit earlier on in web news, in fact, but they're hoping to build up their profits. This is with a new theme park.
Yes, they are. LEGOLAND Malaysia opened this weekend. This is the 6th LEGOLAND across the world. They've already got 3 in Europe and 2 in the United States. And we can see there, that's the grand opening with some lovely dancing going on, hoping to attract thousands and thousands of visitors, not just from within Malaysia, but they say it's easily reached from Singapore. We know that Asia is very good on its low-cost airlines, so they're banking on those to bring people into Malaysia to LEGOLAND. We can see it's all got all the same sorts of rides and Lego sculptures and things as the other theme parks around the world. LEGOLAND did actually get into trouble back in the 90s when people thought it had overstretched itself a bit by diversifying into theme parks. But they've recently had some really strong results, and as you can see, this is their sign of how confident the company's feeling, opening a new theme park in Malaysia.
If you get bored, can you go in and take it all apart and rebuild it all again?
Well, I would worry about the roller coasters.
Exactly,
They're not made
so
out of
would
Lego, are they?
I certainly hope not. No, just get the odd rail missing. Yeah. Hopefully not. Catherine, thank you very much. Catherine Nicholson here with Business Today. She'll be back in around about an hour and 20 minutes time here on France 24. The latest news, though, Claire will be here after the break.